As the MLB season approaches, MLB The Show has some hidden attributes that you 100% need to know about. These hidden attributes will only affect live series players. They do not affect legends or flashbacks. Now, what is Inside Edge, you might ask? And I will go ahead and simplify it as much as I can. Inside Edge is a daily matchup rating. You will not see a player have the same inside edge if it is specific to a pitcher the next day, unless the same pitcher is pitching the next day as well. It will swap based on who the player is facing if it is a matchup rating for the pitcher. There are several different types of matchup ratings. There are matchup ratings where it's player versus pitcher. How well has this player performed against this pitcher in the past? There are also matchup ratings where it's player versus pitch type the pitcher throws. If the pitcher throws a curveball 70% of the times, how well player A does against pitchers that throw similar curveballs, as well as the tier of the pitcher. For example, we have Corbin Carroll is slugging .587 in his last 53 plate appearances against bottom tier left-handers like Freeland over the last 2 seasons. So they gave him a positive match rating because he is slugging .587 against that tier of pitchers. So there are a ton of ways that the matchup rating could either increase the attributes or decrease the attributes of a player. Now, you can go individually into each player and see why his attributes are either being increased or decreased, and you can use that for fantasy baseball, for example, if you want to know whether or not to start a baseball player. But let's talk about what Inside Edge does to the player. So you see that Corbin Carroll is an 87 overall, and you see the arrow that is saying he is now an 89 overall. The 89 overall is only in game, meaning if you are playing ranked, if you are playing battle royale, if you are playing events, if you're playing play versus CPU, if you're playing conquest, and you're playing mini seasons, that is where he is an 89 overall. And I'm not 100% sure whether the game will display inside the game that he is an 89 overall, but what I do know is that the attributes won't be the attributes you see right here. For example, he has 80 contact versus left and 50 power versus left outside of game, meaning the Diamond Dynasty card, you don't have him in your lineup, you don't have him on your bench, he's just outside looking in from the community marketplace. Those are going to be his true attributes. But once you plug him in your lineup and take him inside one of those game modes that I described previously, then that player, when you check the player card, is not going to have 80 contact versus left or 50 power versus left. Instead, inside of the game, he's going to have 91 contact versus left and 61 power versus left. So the attributes that you see change only affect players while they are inside of the game. Now you might be saying to yourself, but he's an 89 overall today, right? So what does that mean in terms of me being able to sell Corbin Carroll? I'll tell you this. Regardless of whether you see a player go up 7 overalls or down 7 overalls, he will always sell in terms of quick sell value for the overall that is printed without any arrow upwards or downwards. So he is a true 87 overall and will remain a true 87 overall until roster updates. But roster updates are a completely whole other conversation that we will have videos for as well. That's what Inside Edge is, especially when it is increasing a player's attributes. Now, Inside Edge can be very minimal, and it is very important for you to go ahead and inspect the player card before plugging him into your lineup or drafting him inside of Battle Royale. For example, we see ourselves Nolan Arenado. You don't see an arrow going up and you don't see an arrow going down. But if you go ahead and click on his player card art, you will see that Nolan Arenado actually has -5 to his attributes versus right. So inside of a game, he now has 80 contact and 64 power versus right. Now, why isn't his overall changing, you might ask? Well, the changes within those attributes are not significant enough to move his true overall. But if, for example, in a roster update, Corbin Carroll actually got these attributes increased by those amounts displayed, then he would become an 89 true overall outside of the game. So Nolan Arenado, if for some reason he is struggling against right-handers to start off the season and they subtract 5 from both sides, he will remain an 83 overall. And if you go ahead and read the Inside Edge, you will see that sometimes they will tell you information such as matchup data is limited but favors Glasnow. So they're saying that, hey, Glasnow has the advantage in this matchup. That's why we are subtracting 5 from him. And some players at times also get just how they get decreased and don't change overall, increased and don't change overall. And usually when that is the case, it means that the matchup rating is very, very minimal in terms of margin of it being better or worse for the player. So Lindor is slugging .473 against right-handers over the last 2 years. That is why he is getting a +3. It seems like they don't have enough matchup information against Freddie Peralta to go ahead and increase or decrease his overall based on that. When it comes to pitchers, pitchers are a little bit more unique because they only get their hit per 9 and K per 9 switched. So Zach Wheeler inside of a game is actually a 92 because he gets a +9 to his hit per 9 and a +9 to his K per 9, and hit per 9 basically dictates the ability to make contact for your opponent. K per 9 dictates the ability to go ahead and follow off pitches with the vision. And if you read the Inside Edge, it says current Brave hitters have struck out 26.7% of the time against top tier right-handed pitchers like Wheeler over the last 2 years, and the league average is 20%. So he's performing well above that 20%. And these are going to be two beautiful examples that I wanted to show you all when it comes to, hey, despite him being an 84 overall, he will still sell for a diamond. Luis Castillo, his Inside Edge has him going down to an 84 overall, which would be a gold, but he is still a diamond outside of in-game attributes, and that's the way he would sell for if you were to try to quick sell him or sell him inside the community marketplace. You see yourself Corbin Carroll. He's jumping, Corbin Burns. He's jumping from an 84 to a 91. That's a +7 overall jump. So what does that mean? He's still a gold outside of the game, but he's going to be way better inside of a game if you go ahead and use him. And if you are using live series players primarily to go ahead and build your team, or even in Battle Royale where they're probably most important as you draft players, this is just something you're going to want to keep an eye on because it will change daily. If players do get injured, at times they stop doing Inside Edge for them, but it is not always. And starting pitchers will only get their Inside Edge adjusted whenever they are going to start a game the following day, let's say for example, or that current day. Hitters will usually get their Inside Edge adjusted every single day depending on the information that is available against that pitcher. And sometimes because they don't have enough information, you will see someone like Francisco Lindor, who might be slumping and hitting 200 to start off the season, still have a positive Inside Edge just because of his history against right-handed hitters, or right-handed pitchers, excuse me. And sometimes Inside Edge also is altered based on the player's performance inside of the season. So if he's really hot, his Inside Edge most of the times is going to be positive, and if he's really cold, it's going to be negative as well. That's how Inside Edge works. And for the bullpen, unlike pitchers, or starting pitchers I should say, the bullpen is generally going to be for the entire series. So if the Dodgers are facing the Cardinals, it's going to be for the entire series against the Cardinals that a bullpen is going to have the same Inside Edge. If the Dodgers were facing the Pirates, then it would be different because it's a different series and a different team that they are facing. That being said, I hope you enjoyed today's content. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Check out the description for the second MLB The Show channel as well as the Twitch social medias. Make sure you guys are following. Have a blessed day and night. Stay positive, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out. Deuces.